What's going on, everyone? In this video, we're going to be doing the weekly recap of the stocked up trading floor. The market pulled back a decent amount over the past week, and it actually had its worst start to a month since April, which is when the Liberation Day tariff crash happened. So we're definitely seeing an uptick in volatility, which would make for some exciting movement in the short term. Jumping right into this week's recap, starting off with the high-risk breakouts channel. We can see on Monday there was some decent action with LUMN, CIFR, and kind of CVX, but I wouldn't say it was anything like too crazy. You know, there were a handful of stocks that had okay moves, but there were also a fair amount of duds. So I wouldn't really say it was, that crazy of like an opportunity for not only just Monday, but even like this week in general. Yes, there were some stocks that like really moved in like a big way, but there really wasn't anything that like really stuck out, which, is to be expected to a certain extent. Not every week is going to have, massive 2,000% plus opportunities. But looking through this week's recap, we can see on Wednesday there was some pretty decent action with LMND, SEDG, Enphase, LITE, and MU, as those popped up between 90% and 240%. Those were 5 tickers that did move in a nice way. And of course, there were a handful of stocks that had, fair moves as well. And of course, a handful of stocks that were just duds or just counter trend plays. Going through the week, we can see that we kind of just saw like a repeating pattern of, some stocks had some good sized moves and there was some opportunity there, but again, nothing that went like absolutely insane. ELF had some really good movement on Thursday as those put options moved up by 305%, and CRCL also had some good movement where those put options moved up by 204%, as well as the CELH put options that moved up by 196%. Even CRM had good put option movement of 176%. Datadog, 87% movement with the calls. Hood, decent move with some of their put options. And, a handful of stocks that had fair size moves. Of course, a handful of duds sprinkled in there as well. Friday wasn't really that crazy of a day. We can see there were some stocks that had some okay moves, but really nothing too crazy. It was a very slow week, or very slow day on Monday with the pullbacks. Looking on Tuesday, we saw this pick up a lot as there were 2 100% plays, as well as 2 like good sized plays with Uber and Reddit, and then 1 play that just moved up like a little bit with Goldman Sachs. But overall, very good recovery on Tuesday. As always with pullbacks, you're not going to see these setups be as crazy as the breakout ones, because the best breakouts don't pull back. But the trade-off is that the pullbacks tend to be smoother, slower, and just an easier trend to follow. So that was that for this week. Nothing too crazy. Shifting into the theta recap, 4 out of the 5 plays expired immediately for max profit, so no complaints there. When it comes to shorting put options, even if that's something that you don't do, and maybe even if you don't want to do it, it's important to at least know how it works, because when you're limited to just buying calls or just buying puts, which is how just the intro to options trading kind of historically works for most people, learning how to, number one, short options, and then number 2, combine multiple options together, basically puts you in a position to make better, more informed, capital efficient trades, because you can just navigate the options chain like more intelligently. We talk a lot about this in our weekly live events where we cover different types of option spreads and just so many interesting things and useful things. So definitely give those a watch if you haven't already. But either way, looking at this week's data recap, 4 out of the 5 expired for max profit. When shorting put options, make sure to only short them on stocks that you're happy to own at prices you're happy to own them at. And then, as always, if you need any help, feel free to reach out to Tom, Hunter, Mason, or myself in the SM chat, and we will make sure you're taken care of. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's have a great week ahead.